Hey guys, welcome to the World Cup 2026 Extra Time feed. Did day three earlier today. It's a two for one special. We're doing day four. Great day, I would have to say, although you can kind of look it into two groups where you had one classic matchup and one complete stinker. Although I wouldn't say stinker when I talk about, let's talk about the first match, which is Germany and Curacao. Curaçao's World Cup debut. And they actually got it. So Germany scores really early in this match at the 6th minute from Nemcha. And then all of a sudden, Ivory Coast actually equalizes in the 21st minute. And it was a great goal from Comenencia. And everybody was excited. The whole crowd was going wild. And then Germany took care of business. They really took care of business, battering Curacao in all different ways. The hydration break comes right after that goal, and Germany scores in the 38th minute. Germany scores on a penalty right at the end of the half. Penalty shot wasn't even close to being saved from Kai Havertz. It was just this is what Germany needed to do in this situation. They had many more chances created. They basically scored over half of their shots on target. 7 goals, 12 shots on target. This is perfect for Germany. Germany needed to take care of business early on, kind of send a statement to Ivory Coast and Ecuador, and they are well on their way to a World Cup knockout round berth, which I haven't had since 2014. I would say this. I actually did enjoy Curacao being in that game today. I know people will be like, this is what happens when you expand the World Cup to 48 teams, but it is nice to see these teams get their first shot at everything. And that's what I kind of sort of like a little bit about it, but overall, I can see why you would be angry watching that game. The other game, though, was excellent. It was Ivory Coast beating Ecuador, and it was Jan Demand had a spectacular game um, uh, for Ecuador. It was had a spectacular game for Ivory Coast. He is one of the better midfielders out there. Had an excellent game himself, but this was a game where it was just back and forth. Possession was back and forth, and everything in this game was back and forth. And this is a game that had the most shots hitting the crossbar without a goal since 1982 in a World Cup game. Happened 4 times in this game, and all the touches that Demond had against Ecuador was just outstanding. Had many different shots, chances on goal, but just couldn't get it in the back of the net. But Ecuador really, really was just there. Just hit the crossbar, hit the post, hit the crossbar, hit the post. It was just not what you wanted to see if you're Ecuador, and you thought this game would be a nil-nil draw, would be our first nil-nil draw of the tournament, but no. Diallo scoring pretty much in the 90th minute. Singo to Diallo and a big full 3 points to Ivory Coast here. Uh Damaging for Ecuador. That was a what do I think 90-10 crowd in Philadelphia, and it was just a stunned, silent crowd, and it's a bad loss for Ecuador because now they kind of have to work from the bottom up. They still have Germany. They'll have them in their last match. They'll play Curacao next in Kansas City next Saturday. So for them, the goal there is just run up the score as much as you possibly can, and then take that momentum into the Germany game after that, and hope you can get at least a point out of that game, and you can at least get yourself to the knockout rounds in comfortable position. But that loss could be put Ecuador in that third place grouping, and for a team that was considered one of the dark horses in this competition, not where you want to be. The other game, by the way, Germany and Ivory Coast will play next Saturday at 4. They'll play in Toronto. Ivory Coast had a little bit of momentum, especially in that second half. Let's see if they can keep it versus a Germany team that will get a definite jump up in competition. But overall, I'd be very happy if I was Germany and Ivory Coast after you get the full 3 points. Japan and Netherlands did not get the full 3 points in their Group F matchup, but oh boy. After a first half that just seemed like both teams were a little gun shy, especially Japan. Japan seemed like they were waiting for stuff to happen on their end, and it never did. The floodgates opened, and what was an amazing scene in Dallas. Both contingents showed up really well. You have Virgil van Dijk, who is probably playing in his final World Cup, and he got the pass from Ryan Graverbach. The first, by the way, the first Liverpool to Liverpool goal in the World Cup since 1966, which is insane that it's been that long. Considering we're one of the best in the world, and that led the scoring. And then Japan scores 6 minutes later. Somerville comes back for the Netherlands, scoring another 7 minutes later. And then that's pretty much what we have until the very end when Kamada scores in the 89th minute on a just a great set piece corner that it didn't seem like Japan was going to break through, but the way that this team played in the just towards the end of the game looked really good. I think Zion Suzuki looked really good in the back of the net for Japan, even though he did let up 2 goals to the Netherlands. But this was some top flight play between two teams who I truly think are going to definitely go on to the next round. I think the question is after what happened in Sweden, what's going to happen with these two teams? Are one of them going to be stuck in their place? Maybe that's the best thing because again, second place in this group could very well get Brazil. First, second and first place in this group could get the combination of Brazil and Monaco and Morocco. I mean, and don't think after watching those two teams yesterday, you want to go into a knockout drag out round of 32 match against those teams. But Japan and Netherlands played the best half of football that we've seen in this World Cup. Bravo. And the game that just ended, Sweden did the taking care of business just like Germany did earlier. Uh, by the way, their expected goals in this game was 1.36 apparently. They scored 5. Ivory scored the first goal and the last goal for Sweden, and it was just was out of the way. By the way, Tunisia led this game in possession, which is insanity to look. But Sweden just hit every good shot. You had Isak scoring the second goal, Alexander Isak scoring the second goal. There were just some screamers, and that's what I wanted. That's what I would love to see when Sweden is out there. I want to see just special shots out there and just excellent play in terms of the midfield. And man, oh man, Sweden looked dominant in that game, and they most importantly put a +4 on the board when it comes to goal differential. For a team that, by the way, had again only 7 shots on target and 5 went in the back of the net. Sweden, that's about as good of a statement as you can make after watching what Netherlands and Japan did today, because you know you're going to be in for a battle in those two matchups. In fact, the game against Netherlands will be next Saturday. It's a 1 p.m. early start in Houston for Netherlands and Sweden. That's going to be pretty damn good. And then Tunisia and Japan meet in Guadalupe, Mexico, and that's going to be a midnight game on June 20th. Big one for Japan. They want to get some points on the board, and they want to get some goals specifically on the board going into their final game, which would be against Sweden. All right. So tomorrow we'll start Group H and Group G. I'm sorry, Yeah, we'll start. Yeah, we'll start Group G and Group H. It's going to be interesting to see Spain debut, Belgium's debuting, and Uruguay is debuting. My name is Stephen Moments. This has been World Cup 2026 Extra Time. Instagram, WCE Extra Time. Facebook, and YouTube, World Cup 2026 Extra Time. See you tomorrow when we will do the same thing at the end of that fourth game, which will be Iran, New Zealand. So this will be up probably around 11 o'clock Eastern time. Yeah, it says 9 p.m. local, but I believe it is a 9 p.m. game tomorrow. I'll have to kind of take a look at it, but I'm pretty sure we're going to do a recap of all four games tomorrow. See you then.